A cold night in British Columbia. On the 27th of November 2010, the small, quiet town of Vanderhoof, British Columbia, was blanketed in darkness. Winter had settled in early, bringing bitter cold, snow piled along the sides of rural roads, and the stillness that only comes in remote Canadian communities. That night, 15-year-old Loren Leslie left her home to meet up with a friend. Loren, who was partially blind, had lived with the condition since childhood. Despite this, she was independent, outgoing, and determined to live her life like any other teenager. But what should have been an ordinary night would end in horror. Loren never made it home. Who was Loren Leslie? Loren wasn't just any teenager. She had a violent personality, loved art and music, and dreamed of one day making a difference in the world. She was described by friends and family as kind, creative, and fiercely strong-willed despite her disability. Her partial blindness meant that she struggled with some everyday challenges, but Loren never let this define her. She carried herself with confidence, her warm smile and witty humor making her unforgettable to those around her. It's these very qualities that make her story so devastating. The Predator in the Darkness. At 9:45 p.m, Royal Canadian Mounted Police Constable Aaron Kelleher was on routine patrol near Highway 16, a stretch of road in northern British Columbia infamous for its nickname, the Highway of Tears. For decades, dozens of women and girls, many Indigenous, had gone missing or had been murdered along this desolate route. As Kelleher drove, his headlights caught something unusual. A black car pulled over at the side of the road, its hazard lights flashing. Behind the wheel was a man, and in the passenger seat, something didn't look right. When Kelleher approached the vehicle, the driver, later identified as Cody Allen Legenbukov, appeared nervous. He was just 20 years old, clean-cut, with no criminal record. He told Kelleher that he had been hunted, even though he didn't have a proper license. Suspicious, Kelleher searched the area, and what he found was every officer's nightmare. Just 50 meters away from the road, lying in the snow, was the body of 15-year-old Loren Leslie. The shocking arrest. Loren had been beaten and brutally murdered. Her body, partially concealed in the snow, showed signs of a violent struggle. Kelleher immediately arrested Legenbukov. At the time, no one knew just how significant this arrest would be. Legenbukov wasn't just Loren's killer. He would later be revealed as one of Canada's youngest and most dangerous serial killers. Cody Allen Legenbukov. Born in 1990, Legenbukov grew up in Fort St. James, British Columbia. Outwardly, he seemed like a normal young man. He was social, loved hockey, and worked at a local Ford dealership, and was active on social media. He wasn't the loner type people often expect in such cases. But beneath that exterior was something far darker. Legenbukov harbored violent impulses, fueled by an obsession with hunting, and not just animals, people. His online activity showed connections to violent subcultures, though few who knew him suspected what he was capable of. When Loren's body was discovered, investigators quickly realized that her murder was not random. Legenbukov had lured her out, exploiting her trust and vulnerability. The crime was calculated, and chillingly, it wasn't his first. The Highway of Tears connection. In the weeks after his arrest, Royal Canadian Mounted Police investigators dug into Legebukov's life, retracing his steps and examining unsolved cases along Highway 16. The results were staggering. Legebukov was soon charged with 3 additional murders: the murder of Jill Stachenko, 35, a mother of 5, last seen alive in Prince George in 2009; Cynthia Mass, 35, a woman whose remains were discovered in a wooded area in 2010; and Natasha Montgomery, 23, who vanished in 2010 and whose body has never been found, though her DNA was later discovered in Legebukov's apartment. All 3 women were vulnerable, struggling with difficult circumstances and living on the margins of society. Legebukov had preyed on them as much as he did Loren. The trial. In 2014, Legebukov went to trial for the 4 murders. The courtroom heard harrowing details of the brutality he inflicted on his victims. The Crown argued he was a thrill killer, someone who murdered not out of necessity, but out of a twisted desire for power and dominance. Legebukov claimed that he didn't act alone, insisting that he had been coerced or that unnamed accomplices were involved, but there was no evidence to support these claims. The jury took little time to deliberate. Legebukov was convicted on all 4 counts of first-degree murder and sentenced to life in prison with no chance of parole for 25 years. At just 24 years old, he had become one of Canada's youngest convicted serial killers. Aftermath and legacy. For the family of Loren Leslie, the trial brought some justice but no closure. Her father, Doug Leslie, became an outspoken advocate for victims, often speaking about the dangers faced by young women along the Highway of Tears. He has since campaigned for better protections, more resources for vulnerable communities, and greater awareness of predators who target women and girls. The murder of Loren and the other 3 women reignited national attention on the Highway of Tears. Indigenous leaders and activists emphasized that Loren's case received swift justice, partly because she was white, while many Indigenous cases along the same road remain unsolved and overlooked. Loren's story stands not only as personal tragedy, but also as a symbol of a broader crisis in Canada, one where systemic issues, vulnerability, and predation collide in the most devastating ways. The haunting final image. What makes Loren's story especially haunting is how ordinary it all seemed at first. A teenage girl meeting a friend on a cold November night. A young man, seemingly normal, sitting in his car. A random traffic stop by a patrol officer. However, beneath that normalcy lay something monstrous. Without that one stop, without that one officer trusting his instincts, Legebukov may have still continued to kill. And so, Loren's case is remembered not only for the horror of her death, but also for the chilling reminder it gives us. Sometimes the monsters we fear the most don't look like monsters at all.